Wizards. Welcome to episode 22 of the Crypto Wizard podcast. Now, again, mixing things up with this podcast, I want to start diversifying and branching out on all of the different topics that can be covered in a single podcast every single week. So, first of all, and first and foremost, I hope you guys are having an exceptional start to the week so far, and also an exceptional end to the week so far. We've had a phenomenal week in terms of trading. We've seen the BTC drop, one of the first calls of the week to come through, absolutely slamming down from that $12,000 to $12,100 region. We saw the meltdown yesterday. I mean, how many people yesterday were saying buy? I've seen 14K, 13K, 16K. I've even seen all-time highs again, simply because people were too attached to that trend line. It looked like a very simple bait for the average trader to kind of get caught out on that movement. And again, it caught a lot of people out. However, the Wizards were fortunate enough to just latch on, catch that movement, and witness pretty much a $1,000 drop from the point of giving the trade out. The same can also be said for XRP, where we've seen the pullback down to the 29 cents region. We've seen some stability around our weekly key levels, and overall, we've seen a very nice short opportunity to even pull down to that region so far. Lord behold, today we found an excellent opportunity. I managed to identify that trendline breakout and retest just on time, and literally at the point of recording this right now, XRP is attempting to break 50 cents. So we're trying to tackle that region right now, and I do believe in a very short period of time we will be hitting that 31.5 to 32.5 cents region before we actually begin to gear up for what could be the further extension to the downside and actually start fulfilling the likes of 28 cents, 26.5 cents, and even 25 cents. So looking at what's going on right now, this is looking like a massive reality. And from a 15-minute perspective, again, I'm not a big fan of intraday timeframes for BTC and XRP, as they can be incredibly sloppy. I prefer to focus on the 4-hour time frame. However, in saying that, the 30-minute and the 15-minute chart today in particular for BTC has been providing some very crisp setups so far. So looking at that now, we have several long positions running. I've entered several different positions, targeting the likes of $11,900 up to $12,100. And I do believe once we start achieving that region, even potentially breaching up to the likes of $12,200, $300, or even the resistance at $12,400, it really depends on how long this will take to actually explode to the upside should it do so. So looking at the charts right now, it's looking very promising to absolutely rocket towards at least the first target of resistance around 11,600. So hopefully, by the time this podcast is actually complete, we would have at least fulfilled the very short intraday move up to $11,600. And from the region of calling, that is around the $300 move. So it's not too bad to kickstart what could be a Goliath movement, spanning yet again another $1,000, leading us to almost 2,000 pips in margin trading terms for a single given week. However, putting that aside, there's been more than enough discussions and analysis provided today, and I want to actually elaborate further on what was a rant that ended up occurring around 5 a.m. on Twitter. I ended up going a bit too far into the topics of society, life, and kind of just expressing my views, again, on the likes of Kim Kardashian, reality TV, all of the stuff that I've covered before, except I went a little bit more in depth, and I thought, what a perfect time to have an actual good podcast topic than to cover this instead. So one of the first things I tweeted was regarding Kim Kardashian. So the first thing I said, I'll actually go through some of these tweets first before I delve a little bit further. The first one was, we live in a generation where people know more about how many eggs Kim Kardashian ate for breakfast than their own personal life. And I know that sounds sarcastic, but it's genuinely true. They're so busy keeping up with the Kardashians, they actually forget to keep up with their own life. They literally, and this is probably my favorite part, I don't know how I thought of this at 5 a.m., they live their own reality through reality TV. Now, I'm going to break down every single tweet one by one throughout this podcast and just elaborate a little bit further on why this is so fucked up on so many levels. And again, pardon the language, I'm very, very passionate about this topic in particular. It's one of my favorite topics to cover because humanity and society overall just genuinely confuses me. I don't really understand people too well. I know how to read people in psychological terms. I'm excellent at that in terms of energy and vibes. I can read it. But overall, I still don't have a fucking clue why people are like this. But then, as we delve further, we will start to realize that humanity and society has been molded in a certain way that it's almost inevitable human beings will turn out the way they currently have. So When I actually said how many eggs Kim Kardashian ate for breakfast, I'm not even joking. Whilst we're recording this podcast, let me just Google Kim Kardashian and see what news comes up right now. Kim Kardashian misses Kylie Jenner's birthday for girls' night out. Almost half of Kim. Khloe and Kourtney Kardashian's Instagram followers are fake. The Kardashians shared a ton of throwback pics for Kylie Jenner's birthday. These are the top stories and the first things that come up on Google. The minute I search that, that's the first thing that comes up. And that is just absolutely outrageous to think that is what it is considered news in this day and age. So, Kardashian Jenner sisters wearing crop top dash pics. That was posted 2 days ago, and that is actually a top story that I imagine would have so many views I don't even want to bother checking. In saying that as well, just to diverge, BTC is currently rejecting $11,400 as stated. I believe this thing is going to absolutely fly. So let's just go back. So we saw the story, Kim Kardashian's wearing a crop top. Oh, whoopty fucking do. What an amazing headline that is. That is so important with all the things going on in the world. What a beautiful, beautiful topic to be covering and enlightening the masses on. So my problem with this is, and something that really, really annoys me, is the fact that we idolize these celebrities. Now, there's nothing wrong with having inspiration, motivational idols. But when you actually look at how far the world has gone crazy and obsessive over the Kardashian family, it makes you start putting two and two together. And it's not really a long shot to actually analyze the overall demographic that they're targeting. And you start to realize when I say they live their own reality through reality TV, we're in a generation right now where millennials in particular, we're in the influencer era. We're in an era where every single person is looking up to others. They're trying to chase this dream. They're trying to be like this person, impress this person. It's just all bullshit, to be honest with you. And the problem is it's called keeping up with the Kardashians. But they genuinely are actually just spending their entire lives keeping up with the Kardashians. People are forgetting to live their own lives. People are forgetting to actually go and achieve their own goals, achieve their own dreams. People are just stuck there all day long, monitoring the news. Oh my God, Kim K wore this, Kanye bought this. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes to Kanye, despite what many people think, I think he is an incredibly educated and smart man, and no matter how crazy he may be, I do think a lot of that is for publicity, and overall, I think the man is very smart, very business savvy, and the Yeezys speak for themselves. Kanye, just like Kim, Kylie, all the sisters, I don't even know the names off by heart. All I know is they are very smart and they've managed to leverage their business and they managed to leverage their image to pretty much exploit the entire world for business purposes. When you look at the Kardashian family, despite how stupid you think they are so fucking smart, it's unbelievable. The entire Kardashian family, from the mum to the dad, if the dad, mum and dad, whatever you want to call the dad these days, they are essentially some of the smartest business people in the world. They have managed to capture the entire world and make them obsessed with their life. When I've actually sat down with my girlfriend and watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians, I kind of just watch it and I'm just curious. Like when I have sat down and watched it with her, I just sit there and think, why do people actually sit there all day long and watch these people do what they are doing with our lives? Yes, it may be more extravagant, but the majority of the episodes, despite what they're doing, they're still eating food just like you. They're still sleeping in a bed. They're still sitting on the sofa watching TV. They're still having discussions. They just have a little bit more money. But why is it we are so obsessed with these people? It's literally just berserk. It's crazy. And the problem is in this current generation where people are getting poorer, the wealth gap's getting larger, the overall employment status of many people is dropping. The unemployment rate is massively increasing and people are not getting employed. They're not earning enough money. They're moaning about bills. And the millennial mindset is, let's blame society. Let's blame the world. Let's do this. Let's do that. They got lucky. I'm not lucky. People are genuinely living their entire reality and their entire life through the Kardashians and through all of these other celebrities. They are so obsessed with these people's lives. They are genuinely forgetting that they are wasting every breathing second following what other people are doing. They're not dedicating any time whatsoever to their own life to actually focus on what they could be achieving themselves. So one of the other tweets I even said is the average person sits there all day watching others live their lives through reality TV. As I just said, dreaming one day to live that life or saying they got lucky. They don't realize they spend so much time living through others, they miss the opportunities to achieve it themselves. Guys, one thing I've learned in life is the more conscious you become and the more alert you become of your surroundings and opportunities, you realize that every single day, I promise you, every single day, a new opportunity arises for you to achieve your dreams or increase your step in the ladder of success or get to at least where you want to be. Not everyone's goal is about money. Some people care more about freedom. It doesn't mean you need money to have freedom. Believe it or not, you could easily live in the countryside or live well below your means and live a very free life away from the overall construct of society. So when it comes to the whole money discussion that you need it for freedom, it's bullshit. It really depends on how you want to spend your freedom. The way I like to live my life personally, I need a lot of money, and it gives me and allows me freedom and the ability to do what I want when I want. That's just how I am. But for me to get that, I didn't sit there all day watching the Kardashians. I had to work for it, graft for it. I used to look up to people, several rappers. Everyone knows I love Meek Mill. That was always my kind of idol when I was growing up and trying to chase that paper dream, I guess you could say. That was always my idol, and it's always good to have that person there, or that certain celebrity or figure that you look up to for as a role model, or at least for some form of motivation to get where you want. But there's a very fine line between motivation, and then there's a very big gap between that and idolization and obsession. And the problem is these people are so fascinated with what these Kardashians and other entities are doing, they're just completely forgetting what is actually going on in their own lives, and they're forgetting about their own issues. They're sitting there all day long watching the Kardashians catch private jets, this, that, going, this is nice, this must be nice, I'd love to live that lifestyle. Then why are you not doing anything about it? Why are you sitting there watching these other people, making them more rich by the day, instead of actually going out there to do it yourself and try and achieve it? But this is the problem. This is literally what kind of spanned the whole thing. I was just laying in bed and I realized the elite's biggest fear is for you to have a brain of your own. Think about this for a second. When we first went back to the early days of society and humanity, fast food, fluoride, reality TV, mainstream media, newspapers, education system, the further education system, literally everything we've consumed is either physically or mentally is crafted by a select few entities. Now, when we look at the global elite, we look at all of these people, let's just say the Illuminati even is real. Forget about them for a second. If they are real, then we already know what's going on behind the scenes with that. Then when you look at the likes of the Rothschilds or all of these global elite that run the banking systems, the finance systems overall, or even just most global corporations that provide us our food and drinks and any form of visual, mental, or even physical stimulation. Any form of stimulation we gain from society is normally controlled by a select few. The mainstream media is one of the best examples. And again, fast food. Back in the day, when you actually think back to ancient civilizations, this is one thing that really pecks my head. When you think back to the Egyptians, the Romans, when you think back to all of these huge architectural structures that have been built in an era where we didn't even believe these people could physically do that. Now, again, I could go into the tinfoil mode all day long on how I believe the pyramids were built and if they were really built by slaves, etc. I don't want to go into that right now. But overall, when you look back into that era and you look at what these people achieved without technology, without reality, without all of this TV bullshit, all of this mainstream media, do you think the Egyptians were sitting there all day long just watching, Tutankhamun just going shopping or eating food? No, they weren't. They don't care, because these people had their own lives. And again, at the end of the day, even if they were doing that, I don't know, I wasn't there. I know very well that they were very capable of achieving incredible things without the technology we have today. And they did not have the fast food. They were eating natural food. The entire world we live on, this is one thing that's always upset me for a very long time. It's something I've always thought about, is at the end of the day, there has to be some form of law and order in society. I absolutely understand that. In terms of, let's just say, law and order, let's just say the law, there of course has to be certain laws. We can't have people running wild, robbing and stealing and killing. But when you do think back to how currencies were earned back in the days and the overall value of money, yes, it's always been the same since the very beginning. If you've ever read the book, The Richest Man of Babylon, and you kind of saw how he progressively made his way wealthier, there was still a lot of thievery and all kinds of crime going on and criminal activity back in the day. But if you just shift over to how society was and how it's become, we've become so predominant on relying on external factors for, I guess you could say, nutrition, stimulation, mental stimulation overall. The world has changed massively, and we no longer rely on the Earth's natural resources. Everything we are being consumed has been genetically, I guess you could say genetically altered or genetically programmed or even genetically imprinted to give a certain reaction or cause a certain impact on the human body. When you think back in the day when these people were just hunting for food, these ancient civilizations, they were literally hunting for fish, they were hunting for bulls, bears, sharks, tigers. I don't know what they were hunting for, but they were hunting for natural resources. They were eating fruit off trees. The energy was coming from the actual air, the aura around us, the overall energy, the plane, the earth. Everything was coming from natural resources, the sky, wind, rain. Did I say wind? Wind, rain, water, all of these natural resources that we are using. When you think about this in the present day, we have to pay for water, mineral water that is actually a natural resource in on earth is crazy when you actually process all of these things. And you realize that everything we're given to eat or drink or consume has been programmed by somebody else. Somebody else has purposely, someone with power, these huge elite and corporations, these people are purposely giving us certain substances to dumb us down, to reduce our capacity, just to reduce mental capacity overall. We're literally born and put into schools and told to believe what's being taught. We're taught to believe our governments. We're taught just shut up, listen, follow the path set out for us. We're even taught not to question and just accept. So we are literally being fine-tuned and manipulated to become thoughtless zombies. Again, school's a big one for me. When you actually think about it and how unfair this is, it's very upsetting to even think about. Think about school. You're born, you're put into an educational system you have no choice but to go into because you're told you have to get grades. So to even have a chance at life, from literally birth, you are instilled fear. Fear is instilled into your aura, your mindset, your whole vibe is just based on fear. Life is based around fear. If you do not follow the strict system, the law and order that's given, you will suffer. You will live a bad life. You will not succeed. You will live in poverty. You could die. All of these things are instilled in us into a child. And it's like when you're young and they ask you, what do you want to be when you're older? You have no fucking clue because you're too young. You're not meant to know what you want to be when you're older. We are being pressured as kids, even little kids at the age of 7 to 8, 9. What do you want to be when you're older? The kid has no fucking clue because the kid likes playing and watching SpongeBob on TV. They do not know what they want to do when they are older. We are not designed to be workers. We are designed to live free. And by all means, law and order, as I said, has to be in place for this. But when you just think about that for a second, these are all man-made procedures and substances, time. The thought of going to work back and forth at certain times, having certain lunch breaks, going for certain toilet breaks, all of this stuff is constructed by man. No one told us you have to wear suits. We were not born with suits on. We were not born with suits in existence. Every single thing has been man-made and constructed to fit a certain social constructed order. And the reason being is there are a certain few elites who essentially have control of the entire world. We are living in a rich man's monopoly, essentially. The best way to put this is, imagine the campaign mode of any video game. I tweeted this as well, as a direct path from beginning to end with the occasional side path. When you start the game, you can only do as much as you're told or shown. And reality, whatever this reality we live in is no different. Our lives are pre-coded for us. When you start a game, you are given a name, you are assigned an outfit, a role, a duty, and you are told to progress your way through there to get to the end. If you stray away from the campaign, you will never complete the game. Life is exactly the same. If you do not progress through the educational system, if you do not go and get a job, if you do not get further degrees and qualifications, you are told you will not complete the game. You will not make it to the higher ranking. You will not level up. All of this stuff that you could compare to a video game is essentially exactly the same in real life. And that is why I've always been a big believer in the simulation theory that we are living in a simulation. Because when you compare how the likes of GTA or any other video game works, as humanity is progressing with technological advancements, we are essentially seeing a more realistic approach to real life in video games now. And the more I actually play these video games like GTA, for example, even the campaign mode, I think GTA is so realistic to real life because you are essentially living another life. It is essentially the same life you're living, just with a bit more constructed, there's a bit more of a fixated segment to video games because you're allowed to progress, you're allowed to run wild and do sidetracks, but overall, to actually get to the end goal and achieve what you want, you still have to complete the game. And that is how it is. Like literally children are raised on history lessons that we ourselves cannot prove are 100% factual. Like we're literally born and put through conditioning just to ensure we follow the same script the elite have set out for us to follow. These people, history, for example, how do we even know this history that we're taught is real? Yes, you can say books, this, that, but at the end of the day, there is still no proof. And I don't want to start any religious wars. I'm not really a very religious person, more of a free-spirited person, and I just believe there is something out there. Something must have made us. You cannot just make something out of nothing. And yes, there can be the argument of God, etc. But then for me, my brain goes much deeper than that. I question everything. For me, I ask, if God exists, then who made God? What is God? What could it be? Maybe there is a God, but maybe God is not actually a figure that we believe. God could even be a database or a hard drive that is actually programming us right now. It could literally be a computer system, a GPU, a CPU. It could be anything. I don't know. I have no idea. My brain is still trying to figure out the answer to life. But overall, what we are living in right now is a massive social construction of limitation. And again, it's molded to just create empty vessels of humans. Like you're basically not programmed to question anything or think for yourself. Fear is literally embedded in us from young, and you're just told to never move astray from the 9 to 5, or you will suffer that terrible life. So we're born puppets in a rich man's world, essentially, when you put it into that perspective. Because at the end of the day, the rich man, they've already got the money, they've controlled the world, they control every single element of the water supplies, the electrical supplies, the food supplies, everything on this earth that should be free and natural for everyone. We were not designed to be living like this. But a select few have figured out a way to realize that, guys, at the end of the day, human beings in general are very dumb. They are very dumbed down. And that's not in the beginning. And go back to the ancient civilizations, as I said, these people were so woke, it's insane. I mean, these people built pyramids, Chichen Itza, all of these crazy things. I went to Chichen Itza in Mexico, and I couldn't wrap my head around how these things were physically built. But then you realize as society has progressively got worse, humanity's consciousness has dramatically declined. Back in the day, there was no such thing as anything that could even affect the likes of a calcified pineal gland, fluoride in the brain. None of this existed. I can only imagine the actual IQ and the actual mental capacity of our ancient civilizations. Now we keep thinking, how did they build these things? How did they do this? How did they do that? Guys, we are only using a very small percentage of our brain. And the fact of the matter is, the more we are being consumed with all of this reality TV, this brainwashing, this junk food, we are literally being sucked into a vortex of, I don't even know what this vortex is. It's just stupidity. It's just absolute stupidity. It's dragging us into a dumbed down state, a zombie nation. And we are progressively, humanity is progressively every single year getting dumber and dumber and dumber, because we are allowing ourselves to be consumed. And to be honest with you, I actually, as scary as it sounds, think it's too late. It genuinely is too late. We have hit a point in time now where the media has such a solid control on people. No one questions anything. No one bothers, because by some weird programming from birth, we are told to just believe everything we said, just shut the fuck up, don't question anything, and carry on with life. And then think about it again, school parenting, even everything you've endured through childhood, it does actually mold your perception of reality. The 1% of humans are simple, complacent creatures. Like, the 1% know this. We are simple, we are basic, and we are very easily manipulated. That is how you see cults are rising. That's how you see all kinds of crazy things going on in the world. That's how people get manipulated into killing people and doing crazy things, because we are weak-minded individuals, and we were made that way over years and years and years. And self-education, when you think about it, the educational system, you're literally set on a straight path. Once you go through the educational system, you're told if you try and leave and break free, you have the risk of failing and destruction and ruining your life forever. So we are essentially trapped in a cycle. And when they say the rat race or the 9 to 5 or the hamster wheel of life, guys, the only way to break through is by self-educating yourself. When it comes to actually seeing a different light, no one started off intelligent 100%. Unless you are born into an elite family of wealthy individuals or entrepreneurs, it's very unlikely you are going to know any of this stuff. It's very unlikely you're even going to consider this stuff. It's very likely in the beginning you will actually consider this bogus, fake, mythical rubbish. But the truth is, when you actually start picking up books and you start reading, even things like, again, Pythagoras theory, all of this stuff I learned in school, history, I don't care what anyone says, for the job I've done in particular, no matter what I learned in school besides basic English and maths, which I think is absolutely essential, nothing I learned from school has even stuck in my brain. I do not even remember anything. I taught myself how to talk properly. I taught myself how to write properly. School couldn't even teach me that, because the educational systems are broken. University, I never believed in university, because I never believed in paying £9,000 a year in the UK to get an education and to end up getting a job. Let's just look at the stats. Why would I do it just to please my family? Which is unfortunately, again, something everyone does. They go uni to please their family or to please society, but then they don't know what they want to do themselves, but they're not pleasing themselves. We are stuck in a generation where we are trying to live beyond our means and live and follow a pathway that's not destined for us. And it's up to you as individuals, unique and calculated and smart individuals, to actually take a step back and detach from the matrix. Read books. The minute you start reading books, you start uncovering things that you cannot believe were never taught in school. Trading is one of the best examples. Learning to trade, when you start handling all these emotions, when you start reading books and understanding and delving deeper into the human subconscious, the mind, the pineal gland, all of these different external factors, even the nervous system and the way you eat, diet, every single thing you do, from your sleep to your eating, can impact your thought and functionality processes. Every single thing can be impacted. And at the end of the day, we're in a world right now where we are trapped and we need to break free. And I promise you, everyone asks me, how do you do this? How do you break the 9 to 5? But you need to self-educate to at least see that light. We are living in a world right now where we are so controlled and literally in a grasp. We're in a tight chokehold by the elite that we are told to not even question anything or even consider, or just be so ignorant to even think that there is a possibility that you can achieve more than what you are told from the overall system and the cycle of life. So I just wanted to kind of just share all my thoughts really in this podcast. I don't want to go too far in depth. I am pretty fired up on this topic overall, but it has been frustrating me for a long time, and I feel like it's something that I've wanted to get out, and I just wanted to let you guys know what's been on my mind and how I think and why I am the way I am, why I say certain things, why I do certain things. I've always been a fairly rebellious character in the sense that I do what I want when I want. I've always believed that life should be, to a certain extent, I'm not saying going out and killing people and stuff and doing stupid things or robbing or whatever, any kind of criminal activity, but what is actually considered many criminal activities in this day and age, when you actually think about it logically, like some certain things, why is that even a criminal activity? Why would I need to be penalized for doing this? Why do I need to get a death sentence? Well, not a death sentence, obviously that's justified, but why would I need to do certain things to, just abide by the law? Why do I not have to do this? Like, I've always been not rebellious in the sense of like bad, but rebellious in the sense that I always question, I always second question, I always second guess, and I always say, do you know what? Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I live like this? It's my life. At the end of the day, just because someone says you have to do it, or just because the law says this or this person says that, and these were man-made constructs. They are designed to keep you attached. And you will very quickly realize when it comes to the rebellious ones, the ones that actually do not follow the rules of society, as long as they're actually still striving to achieve something. I'm not saying be a bum, sit down all day and drink, smoke weed and do nothing with your life. But if you're actually breaking free from the mold and being rebellious in that aspect, a whole new world of opportunities will be unlocked for you. We are so busy chasing these celebrities and all these stupid people. At the end of the day, Kim Kardashian and all these people, they make out to be very dumb, and they may be dumb on an external level or from a face-on view. But when you think about a business aspect, these people are so intelligent you do not realize. And what is crazy is people are idolizing them for the wrong reasons. I idolize these people, or at least I appreciate their work for the fact they are so intelligent. They can sustainably, like literally capture an entire global database of people and an audience and a fan base, like a loyal following, and they can take that and profit it and turn it into successful businesses, successful clothing, absolutely anything. That is why I respect the Kardashian families, Kanye West, or any other celebrity, because they are smart enough to capture the stupidity of humanity and leverage it to make a profit. When I actually look at them overall and I look at the lifestyles and people that follow them, it cannot get any stupider. And that's just something I wanted to throw out there as a final little pointer. But guys, just don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to quit your job. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to do what you want. Don't be afraid to go where you want, do what you want, eat what you want, sleep where you want, sleep with who you want. You do what you want. It's your life. And that's one of the most important takeaways from this podcast in particular is it's your fucking life. Do what the fuck you want.